Work on. Work. Detail. Out. Out.
I pledge allegiance.
Read and are.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arm. Out. Out. Arm. Oh.
Thank you.
We'll be back for a presentation.
Okay, Alberts. Cooper. Ferguson.
Here.
Hawley. Here. Janelli.
Here.
Johnston.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Katrina. Malinero.
Here.
Petrofessa.
Present.
Robinson.
Here.
10 out of 12, Mr. Chair.
All right.
And 9 out of 11.
Okay. Okay, we'll start with recognitions. Laura Garza from Praxar, $10,000 donation to Westside Middle School After School Enrichment Activity.
We have two teachers here as well. Curtis Derrer and Christine Hess.
Yeah. Can someone grab them?
Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Christine Haddad, and I'm the Library Media Specialist at Westside Middle School Academy, and I'm here with my colleague Curtis Derrer, who is one of our wonderful guidance counselors at Westside. And we're here to recognize Praxair, who's represented by Laura Garza. Praxair has very generously donated $10,200 to Westside Middle School Academy for us, money to be allocated for cultural enrichment activities for our underserved students, which may include field trips, presentations, however we determine the best way to use those funds. So we'd like to thank Praxair, and Laura has been instrumental in securing that money for us. So we're going to recognize her tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christine. And in behalf of Praxair, giving back is part of our mission, and particularly science, technology, engineering, math, and any initiatives that can increase diversity or future educational opportunities for youth. We are always interested to continue helping the community where we operate. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, also recognize Barry Mullengarden, Mr. Dexo, $500 donation to Danbury High School.
So I've given you a little bit of an outline on what we call the high school, a healthy high school challenge. We do services to Cadetto in about 1,000 accounts throughout the country. And this year, after about 5 or 6 years of being in the competition, which is based on snack sales and what we call reimbursable sales, cafeteria sales, folks coming through the line, we finally made number 57. 57 gives us $500 presented to Danbury High School in any way they wish to spend those funds.
All right, thank you very much. I feel like I want a golf tournament. Ready to go have a game.
Okay, public participation. The board welcomes public participation and asks that speakers please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Speakers may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints or defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students, or against any person connected with the Danbury school system. You guys have what I'll do is 3 minutes, and at the 1 minute warning mark, I won't say 1 minute, I'll just put my finger off this finger up before the warning. So first we have Tom Agnes. Come on up, buddy.
What would you do at the 5-second mark?
5 seconds, we shut the mic off.
All the ROTC guys come back in.
Looking at the gun.
Ejector seat.
Okay. Good evening, members of the Board of Ed and representative members of the Danbury Schools Administration. My name is Tom Agnes, recently retired teacher from Danbury High School, Danbury taxpayer, and a business owner of 20 years in my previous career. Danbury High School has been losing teachers at what many consider an alarming rate. The sustained explanation advanced by administration is that they are leaving for reasons of higher pay and because it is hard to teach at Danbury High School because of the demographics of our school. While my research of the last 6 months indicates reason to believe that teacher resignations reveal primary motivation as other than money, the fact is that there has been no process to poll teachers who are exiting in a way that would produce credible, useful information. Surveys taken within DHS over 8 years reveal a high level of discontent. Administration response is that the questions are flawed. My report suggests that it's an overreaction to summarily discard those results. However, I had a conversation this week with 2 administrators of DHS who presented a detailed rationale of why they felt I was wrong in so many of my assertions. Nonetheless, what was most important to me was what I thought I'd heard as a possible common ground, and that it is this. First, conducting periodic climate surveys to determine the level of morale in your building and the faculty attitude on specific policies of building operation can produce extremely useful information, enabling the best possible decisions to be made in the future. I think that is common ground for all sides. To find ourselves arguing back and forth after each 4-year survey on the viability of the question seems ludicrous to me. Both sides should sit down to compile those questions together and agree that the results will be considered valid. Yes, it will be difficult, compromise will be necessary, no doubt, but it has to be done. This would be on my list of best management practices. Second, in fact, neither side can refer to teacher retention rates and support its position based on comprehensive, credible evidence because we don't have in place a mechanism for providing that kind of evidence. Common ground for all sides should be that knowing why your most valuable resource is turning over at whatever rate is important. Whomever is proved correct in their assertions is not the goal. Knowledge and self-examination through regular monitoring is as essential in management methodology as it is in the classroom. How do you come up with such a polling mechanism? There's a long list of methods that are significantly flawed. I would contact successful businesses, Microsoft, Duracell, Google, and find out how they do it. You don't have to reinvent this. Although the enclosed report that I've left for the board members presents evidence disputing the administration's stated reasons for low morale and teacher resignations, I hope to have made suggestions tonight suggesting a way forward that would be supported by all sides. I thank you all for your attention.
Okay. Would you like to have your
Yes, that'd be great.
You got it?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, next, Andy, is it Nunn?
Yes.
How do you say the name?
Andy Nunn.
Okay. Just like it's written.
Good evening. I have been a proud member of the Danbury community since 1984. My husband and I specifically chose Danbury to relocate because of its ethnic, cultural diversity, socioeconomic diversity, and because we could find affordable housing in a place where we could set our roots. Both my daughters were raised here and benefited from well-rounded educational experiences. For 20 years, I taught in the Danbury school system. I was the 2008 Danbury Teacher of the Year and the semifinalist for Connecticut State Teacher of the Year, and I am presently an adjunct at Western Connecticut. But for several years, I need to bring this up, I've seen an unsettling trend that's plaguing Danbury High School. Talented, very talented, experienced teachers are leaving at too fast a pace. They are feeling underappreciated, under-supported, and at times even belittled. The facts are indicated in the school climate surveys. My colleagues are not leaving for higher pay. They are not leaving because our kids are too challenging. In fact, they're lured to Danbury by our kids. All of those rumors are wrong. Teachers are upset that some administrators are overlooking their efforts and their genuine dedication, but rather focusing on minutia. Please consider, as we work together to bring growth and proficiency to all of our students, we are losing key people that could help us, the experts that could do this, and that breeds an unhealthy atmosphere. Some people try to compare us to our affluent neighbors, where the test scores soar along with their property values. We forget to remember that our unique student body can never be compared to any of the surrounding areas. We open our doors to the largest percentage of ESL learners, as well as transient students who are struggling to find success. Those are only two factors that distinguish us. Our schools have a blending of people like no community around us, and we need the extraordinary teachers to help us, teach them, and protect them, especially during these troubling times. This is my town. Highly qualified teachers built strong foundations for my daughters, and the diversity exposed them to a world where they are comfortable working anywhere and respecting everyone. And I don't want to see our reputation scarred. Rather than lose teachers and mourn the ones we've lost, I want to continue to boast about the teachers that we have, that we attract the best and that we can keep them. We were #1 in Money Magazine years ago. We're #2 recently in the 24/7 Wall Street financial site for a plethora of reasons other than test scores. I am asking you to please pay attention to the dwindling staff retention and the unhappy, disgruntled teachers, because with that, we fail our students. Thank you.
Would you like to submit your paper into the minutes so we can record it?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you so much.
Okay, next I have Laura Garza. Okay, she spoke for Praxair. And Paloma Fernandez, they left? Okay. Would anyone else like to speak? Come on up. What's your name?
I'm Debbie Isaacson.
Just you sign this for me, that'd be great.
Sure. Actually,
Oh, you wrote it on that one. Okay.
good evening. I'm here in two capacities for the same purpose. I'm a concerned parent of a student at Danbury High School, and I'm a member of the Danbury Justice Network. We're a fledgling organization. We are concerned about the incident with the gentleman at the high school. We really perceive it as harassment. We would like to see, and I realize that there was not much physical harm done and it was handled. We need to see a standard in place to protect the children when they're in school from hate crimes and offensive language. We'd like to see administrative guidelines and procedures for dealing with hate crimes as they happen. We expect our schools to develop and implement programs to minimize hateful speech and actions in Danbury schools. And I was in Danbury High School during the riots in the 70s. I remember that, and I know there's been a lot of progress. And the diversity and the way the high school works is amazing. Possibly letters to parents, workshops, plans of teaching tolerance and curriculum and student assemblies. We look forward to working with city officials, members of the Danbury Justice Network, to ensure the incident is properly addressed and any future incidents are prevented. All of our citizens need to be safe and protected from incidents like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Going once, going twice? So, thank you. Okay, consent calendar?
That the Board of Education approve the items on the consent calendar, Exhibit 17-07 through 1710 as recommended.
Second.
Seconded by Kathy.
Second by Kathy. Any discussion? Thoughts? Hearing none. Get a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstention?
How are you? You're going to take this to the bank?
The Board of Education accept a donation from Frank's Air for Westside Middle School in the amount of $10,200 for after-school cultural enrichment activities, as noted on 17-09.
Second.
Second by Kathy Malero. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay.
And that the board accept the donation from Sodexo to DHS in the amount of $500, as noted 17-10.
Seconded by Eileen Alberts. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Frank's Air.
Okay, student representatives. Hello. Is that mic on there, Joe?
No.
Do you want to introduce the Vito? Sorry. Thanks for being here.
Good evening. Our semester
Dan will introduce you.
So one day, due to the snow day, it ends tomorrow, so all new semesters to classes will begin Friday. Construction currently has all gone up and it's still going well. Instructions are at a minimum. And now we have something a little different today. As participants of Danbury Rotc, as a me, Monique, my partner Tammy, and our other team member Jenna, who couldn't be here tonight, chose to initiate a community service project that focuses on empowering the student body at DHS and taking a stand against substance use through the Project Purple. In doing so, we launched a Twitter campaign regarding our school-wide behavioral statistics in order to motivate our students to continue making good choices. We are currently in the middle of our Project Purple initiative, where students have been wearing purple to demonstrate their stand against substance abuse. In conjunction with spreading awareness, we have been working to empower the student body. As a result, we wrote a letter addressing the stigmas that surround Danbury High School and how we have worked to combat them. And we sent it to multiple media in hopes to be published. And we are currently awaiting a response. We are in the process of putting up a mural that represents the attributes that DHS embodies. Also, tomorrow, Chris Sandy, a man who went to jail for 12 years because of his mistakes while driving under the influence, will be speaking to our class about how substance abuse affected his life. We hope that all of our efforts motivate DHS as a whole to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that presentation, oh, the mic's on now, great. Danbury High School Air Force Junior ROTC Program, Instructor Master Sergeant Barry Brown.
Mr. Donovan, come on up.
I'm Master Sergeant Barry Brown. I did want to just stop up and just say what a wonderful job the team is doing. new to us, came in. Came in halfway through last year.
Almost at my year mark.
March 3rd. And took over this program. For years, our ROTC program had 2 instructors, but unfortunately for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been running with 1. Our Air Force has not been able to fill that position. It's not Danbury's to fill, it's the Air Force, but I just wanted to give kudos to Barry here, who's done an excellent job and he'll explain how the ROTC works. Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Sal, ladies and gentlemen. Like Dan said, my name is Barry Brown. I'm an aerospace science instructor at Danbury High School. I've been here just about a year. I actually relocated from Miami to Danbury, so there are people who want to come and teach in Danbury as well. So I want to apologize. I know you're not supposed to start off a speech with an apology, but I had a 19-slide presentation that I was going to show, but we'll go ahead and just talk a little bit about the program. I'll talk a little bit about an overview of the mission and goals of Air Force Junior ROTC, a little bit about the history of the Junior ROTC program, and a worldwide overview of Air Force JROTC programs. And then what I'll do is I'll turn it over to the people that this program really affects, the cadets. I have our Deputy Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Suarez, and Cadet Colonel Noah Stillman. They're going to go over a few things on how we actually affect the Danbury area. They're going to talk about community service projects, some of the things that we do over there. So, the mission of Air Force Junior ROTC is to develop citizens of character, dedicated to serving their nation and the community. What I want to make sure you all understand is that we're not a recruitment service. Only 10% of the actual 120 cadets worldwide in Air Force Junior ROTC actually enlist in the military. Our goals are to instill the values of citizenship, service to the United States, personal responsibility, and accomplishment. So a little bit about the history of Air Force Junior ROTC. Air Force Junior ROTC program started with the Vitalization Act of 1964. So there was an actual federal mandate that actually put ROTC programs in secondary education schools in America. It set the national criteria for junior ROTC programs at a minimum of 3 years of learning military supported instruction. It's an actual, what we teach here is aerospace science. So we have a 4-year curriculum that rotates. They learn about aerospace science, leadership education, drill and ceremony, and wellness. Minimum enrollment is 100 or 10% of the school population. That's where we're falling short right now here at Danbury. Right about now we have 80 cadets. We should be running at a minimum of 100. So we've incorporated a few programs in the middle schools, coming here and speaking to you folks here, letting you know the good things that we're doing here in Danbury and across actually New England, because we do a lot of trips outside of Danbury as well. The Danbury High School program began in 1967. So once again, 1964 they enacted the programs. 1967, Danbury opened up their first doors for the Air Force Junior ROTC program. Worldwide overview of Air Force JROTC programs. There's 870 Air Force Junior ROTC units. That's worldwide. 120,000 cadets. They're looking to expand that to 955 by 2020. That will increase the total of cadets worldwide to 135,000. That's more than the actual active duty Air Force component. So that's a little bit about the history of the Air Force Junior ROTC program, the mission and the goals and the responsibilities. So I'm going to turn it over to Noah and Jason, and they're going to tell you a little bit about how the program has affected them and how we actually affect the Danbury community with this program.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the 2016-2017 unit goals and measurements. These are the cadet goals. So improve the unit's overall uniform average by 2% each quarter through active cadet-led mentoring programs. So just upperclassmen, really just mentoring the newer cadets. Development of individual leadership skills, ensuring that 50% of upperclassmen have a staff leadership position, which is like a department head. So we have different, gears turning in the squadron. So the upperclassmen in charge of something going on. Participation in 20% of community service activities. Previous years to increase the school and community awareness about our program. Retained about 65% of our current cadets through morale and increase in esprit de corps activities. Introducing new programs like Uniform Club, mentoring programs, and Cyber Patriot, which is more on computer-led stuff like cybersecurity. Model community services in the community through increased participation. 50% of the cadet corps will participate in at least one community service event. And then the last goal is raising money for Homes of the Brave charity by donating 25% of all proceeds raised at our unit's fundraisers. The wellness program is a big part of our program of ROTC at the school. Physical training is conducted every Friday. Cadets follow a monthly exercise routine, and cadets are required to test twice annually on push-ups, curl-ups, sit and reach, mile run, and the shuttle run. Some things we do, wreath placing at Wreaths Across America. This year was December 17th. That's just putting wreaths on fallen veterans' graves. Drill competitions. Our drill teams would go to Newburgh and Bethel and compete against other squadrons or platoons, depending if it's what branch. The American Red Cross Blood Drive. This year we're doing 2 of those. One was in the fall, and the next one will be in the spring. And we also participate in the Memorial Day Parade. Community service. 1,142 total community service hours from May 2016 to December of 2017, and 56 total cadets participating in the community service events. The annual community service events that we do are the parent-teacher conferences at the high school, the open house, the Clean City Danbury, freshman orientation, Veterans Day Parade, and other events with Veterans Day. We help out with the O'Grady relay race at high school. Like I said, the 2 blood drives. We do the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Memorial Day Parade, and Memorial Day flag folding ceremonies and other events. Other service service communities that we're doing this year, the middle school theater programs, the Chris Heron presentations, and the celebration of Danbury Arts. And some of our field trips that we are planning or that we have done this year, we're planning on going on a CIA field trip to Washington, D.C. during a spring break. We went to the 9/11 Memorial in Rockefeller Center on in December. We went on a Thunderbirds field trip a few years ago, and this year we also went to the Bradley Air National Guard Base and did a tour and saw all their aircraft and all that good stuff.
Cool. So I'm going to go over the co-curricular activities, because a lot of, for the cadets, after 2 o'clock, that's really when ROTC starts for them. So some that don't choose to play a sport, we offer drill teams, which is marching and color guards, which you witnessed today. So in Bethel, in November, we had 1 drill season, and we were able to bring home a first place in inspection of our uniform. Previous years, we brought home 2nd place inspections and then duels and color guards. We also do one in March at Newburgh Academy, which is the Air Force Academy High School. We also placed in inspection and duels, and that's against other schools, about 25. So for drill teams, much like other sports, you cannot fail any class. You must maintain a uniform average of 85% or higher, and you cannot miss 2 or more practices. And then students will be recognized with a ribbon for their back, a special team ribbon, and then you also will be awarded a junior or varsity letter. So another activity is Honor Guard, which is the tip-top cadets in the squadron. Anyone that looks sharp, is passing uniform, just looks good, and we know we can send them out to the community to represent us. They do events like Military Ball, which is in March, and that's one of our top events. Awards Banquet is which we send off our seniors, but we reward them for what they've given to the squadron. And then in November, we had our Dine-In, which we welcome in the new freshmen, show them what ROTC is about. Like Noah said, we have wreath placing in cemeteries across Danbury. We have Veterans Day color guards. We also have Walk of Honor at the War Memorial. And then they will be awarded a rope to signify that they are part of the squadron. They must have a 90 uniform average or above, nothing less. No C's in any class, and then must attend all practices. So other co-curricular activities, we have a trick team, which is they will flip rifles, and it's pretty much an awareness presentation, and we'll have them in our parades. Also, we have model rocketry, in which they will construct the rocket, send it up 3 times, and recover it, and they'll be awarded a metal pendant for their uniform, which I have. And then we also have Aircraft Modeling Association, in which they will construct a model aircraft and present it to the squadron. We are doing that currently at a couple middle schools, and they will also be awarded a metal pendant for their uniform at award ceremony. So overall GPA of cadets is about 2.58. Average other cadets or other students at DHS is 2.7. We have for quarter 1, we had 18 cadets on the honor roll and high honors. Quarter 2, 14, and quarter 3, 12 cadets last year. So far, we actually improved that rate. We had about 20 plus cadets promote, put rank on their uniform, and usually any cadet that promotes their high honors. So graduation rate for AFJ ROTC cadets is 100%. All others at DHS is 74. They are also around the campus are involved in football. We have 4. We also had softball, volleyball, student government, band, AP honor classes. We had about 7. Field hockey, robotics, STEM, and then National Honor Society. And then we also have Civil Air Patrol, which is also like AFJ ROTC, and which we partner with. And any questions about our squadron or what we do?
Wow.
It's a lot of stuff.
I think the main thing we need to take out of that is the 100% graduation rate of Air Force Junior ROTC cadets. That's great. So,
Mr. Stillman, Mr. Suarez, are you both seniors?
Yes, we do.
What's your plans for next year? Any considerations yet?
I got accepted to Norwich University in Vermont. It's currently a military school, and I'm probably going to go there. After that, I'm probably going to commission in the Air Force, and then from there, see where it goes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Suarez?
So I got accepted to Central, but I also did get a call back from Fordham yesterday, the business school, and they're going to interview me for an Army scholarship, which I have in February.
Best of luck. Congrats.
Thank you.
The uniforms, you said 80%, 90%. You went to the board, but that's about the dress.
Well, with drill teams, that's just the group of cadets that compete with marching and all that stuff, the performance stuff. They need to get we get graded on our uniforms on how it looks, everything's lined up and all that stuff. And if it's something off, then that goes down in the grade book. And then from there we average all the scores. And for drill teams you need 85 or higher, and for honor guard it's 90 or higher.
You have to wear uniforms every day at school?
Every Wednesday.
Right. So every Wednesday?
Yes, sir.
Well, pretty impressive. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice night.
Congratulations.
Nice job. Get that down.
So action items, Mr. Hall. Okay.
That the board accept the December 2016 operating results, general fund, in accordance with 17-11.
Second by Ms. Alberts. Any discussion?
Joe, you know it's going to come from me, Joe. How are we doing as far as insurance claims?
Insurance claims are a skosh higher than I'd like them, if that's the statement. Yeah, a little higher trend than last year. We've seen tighter salary accounts. Skosh is about another half a million or so higher than last year. But again, we're only halfway through the year, so we're still okay. Salary accounts, you can see about 200,000 there in surplus, which isn't really a lot. Usually have a little more buffer there. So we've seen continued tightness there. Overall, the busing hit us. It's a tight year. I guess that's kind of overall sum. Nothing is bleeding ugly, but we're continuing on it. Health claims, they'll look a little bit higher. We've seen some high claims come through the line. We had a pretty big July and August, which last year we actually had a very good August, which was very strange. So.
Okay. Any other questions? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries.
That the Board of Education accept the December 2016 operating results analysis regarding grants and projects in accordance with 17-12.
Second by Ms. Alberts.
Only highlight here is obviously the board knows about the ECS cut to Alliance of $250,000. We did save that cut. We had two open positions, our PSYOP slots, we reduced those. We also did make some additional reductions from our supply accounts. And the only other outstanding grant we still have is our magnet school. I'm told by the end of January in our final notice from the state, we're hearing a 6% reduction. We still don't know, which is very, very frustrating. But another $500,000 outstanding in that grant, so that's still concerning. Other than that, the grant picture looks okay, but uncertainty on that side.
So, Joe, based on the donation, actually, Dr. Sales, well, based on the donation from Praxair, have we attempted to solicit from them on a more regular basis, yearly basis, in terms of for the overall operating fund rather than just West Side?
Yes.
Any success? Anything which we can do as far as board members to kind of, see if we can't.
I think if you have personal contacts there, it's very
Okay.
important. And Need has really been working with many of them. We've been getting donations of time, which is really valuable to us.
Absolutely.
They've been working with our youngsters. They've done cleanup at buildings. So I mean, they have been being good neighbors, community neighbors, very conscious of what they're doing and committed. The issue that we're having is trying to get sums of money. I met with them, with a group from the chamber, looking to have them sponsor a program. Each of them donating so much money. That didn't go anywhere. I think what happened here was an effort of a parent who advocated, and they were able to bring about the $10,000 because the CEO is very interested in cultural pluralism. So if you have an interest in a particular area, you can tap on that. We've been working with Barringer unsuccessfully, thinking they would support us with our STEM initiatives, but they've had their cutbacks. Everybody. So to answer your question is yes, but not successfully. But we continue to try to do that. But I don't want to walk away thinking that the corporate folks in town are not partners with us, because they are. We just challenge financially.
Pitney Bowes has done a lot.
Pitney Bowes
did a lot of Hayes Town. They did a clean up Hayes Town Day, and they've done a lot of hours in, not necessarily funds, but.
Any other questions?
Keep trying.
No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Superintendent's report.
Okay, workshops. We talked a little bit about the demo program, some thinking, and we thought our workshop would be good. And as you know, we also talked about the charter school. I'd like a time for that. But in addition, I think what we really need to do is, I'm hoping next, I don't have it down here, but today we met with a company that did our analysis on enrollment, which was a phenomenal report. We'd like to do it next Wednesday, February 1st. Is it next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
At 6 o'clock, if we could do it, a workshop. I think it'd be tremendously valuable for our thinking in terms of budgeting.
For the dental program or?
No, for the enrollment.
Enrollment,
And
okay.
we didn't know if she'd be prepared for that, but we think it's good lead going ahead with the budget for you all to see that. And then we could try February 8th for the charter workshop or the dental program. We could do it, try to do it in an hour and a half, or have two separate ones. I need you thinking on. So we'll get two separate ones. If that's what you want, we could set up another time. So the first thing would be at the end of the night, we could talk about an enrollment presentation next Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and then 2 more dates for workshops for the charter and the dental program. Please.
We
All right. Yeah.
confirm that up tonight, or?
Well,
now?
Yeah, we'll do it towards the end.
And then that goes here, we were going to talk a little about the enrollment study, but it's best you get the Gestalt. It is really, I mean, just briefly, we've exceeded the amount of folks that the last enrollment study that was made. The last 5 years, we're growing on average 15%. So, you know, she has the housing starts, the birth rates, the number of birth rates relative to the sustainability. So there's a lot there for us to kind of take in. So that'll be, I think, a great workshop. We're inviting the city folks that were here tonight. They would like to attend as well, because it talks about housing and everything in there. So I think that'll be a good program. Staffing update. We've had to add some staffing over in the preschool program, for example. Students were identified. We had to open up a section. You really don't have a choice. These students have been identified, and they'll be over at, help me out, we've been looking for space because we have a problem.
We're between 2 right now. So.
We're between 2 schools right now. I mean, what's going to happen, quite frankly, someone's going to have to be put on wheels, I think, to make this thing out. We don't want to do it. It's halfway through the year, but we have to have these youngsters to come in. So that's happening, but that's just so you know, we've added staff. Corollary to that staff, we have the 4 classrooms at Shelter Rock. They were opened up Monday. The staff did a tremendous job over the weekend. They volunteered their time. They set them up. They came in and worked at it. Dawn Bartz, the interim principal there, has just been phenomenal. She's worked with parents and with everyone there, made the transition easy. I think when it was all said and done, they moved 8 classrooms.
Yeah, that weekend.
Right?
Yeah, all in it, you're going to be 16 classrooms, I think, over the next 2 weeks by the time moves are all done to get everyone in alignment.
And by the way, in the enrollment impact, that's one of the schools that's growing exponentially. You may recall 3 years ago we added the 4 classrooms. We just added 4 more. You know, it's about 8 more classrooms. So, but that's all, and they're going well. In fact, they're doing so well, people want to be in those classrooms. They've got air conditioning, heat, they're built very well. Even the town commented.
Yeah, all the city inspectors came through, were commenting on the quality. So yeah, all well.
And through just Joe's leadership and stuff, he got that done, and you take a lot of credit for that. It was a young generation.
It's just guys and everything, really.
And the extra money that was there, we enclosed the walkway for the kids, it's much safer. So, you know, it's really a nice situation.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a heated connector, it's all set. No one's got to put a coat on the outside.
And I just got something this week, I don't know if the rest of you read it, but they said Danbury District broke the 100 mark in best schools in Connecticut. We did, we're at 85. So as the folks said tonight, that goes to the teachers, the hard work that they're doing. Because a lot of it is based on assessments and other things. So our folks are doing a great job, I think, with our kids. So I'm very proud of that. The incident that they spoke about, I've sent you information at home. Dan has been working with the staff and kids, and he'll respond to the parent that was here this evening about what is being done, the procedures. I talked to the chief. There's going to be a joint meeting in terms of, you know, just vetting that whole thing out how it went. So I think, you know, for everything, there was great communications, and I think it'll just make us that much stronger at this point. We're also looking at, by the way, 2 extra cameras into that parking lot for added security in that side parking lot. That's part of the bid that Joe's putting out. Joe, you done talking?
Yes.
Come on up here. Anything else about the security up there?
High school?
I just said the cameras, we're thinking about the cameras.
Yeah, we're looking at the cameras up at the high school. We obviously have the additional safety items we put on the parking lot and patrol that we did at the start of the year. Not as far as further on security.
That's it. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so discussion. Proposed budget, assuming that's Joe.
Here we go.
That's me.
Joe, are we gonna project that?
Yeah, I have a PowerPoint. We can,
Okay. Have to get up.
it's not part of the work.
Student locker room over there.
Where's my remote?
Whatever works.
Yeah, the PowerPoint, yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course.
I would like to sit next to Kim.
Oh, I wasn't invited over here, I was just ready to say. I know, I used to sit there, I know what you mean.
I'm not shy.
Joe used to be a technology teacher.
I know, I was. Then I came here, which stuff doesn't work. I'll use the wire.
Oh, man.
I know.
Probably hooked that up ahead of time.
Nah. Of course, if I had the water. Wow. My laptop. You want to get a seat closer, so I don't have to try and hang myself. There you go. Throw it in here. Just like, yeah, just like the whole thing. No. There you go. Work on it. Perfect. Okay. There we go. Look at that. Not bad. All right. Thanks for using my extra work. I did that one special. Thanks. All right. All right. Welcome, everybody. The finance folks saw some of this at our 5:30 meeting. This is kind of the full dress on our Board of Ed presentation of the 17-18 budget. Kind of go through some of the history and the mission. Our mission is to develop in all children the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values which enable them to live a productive, self-fulfilling life and engage in responsible citizenship in a global society. These are our belief statements that the board is well aware of. Children are our first priority. Educational decisions and actions should be based on best practice in the field of education. Partnership between parents, educators, students, and the community is important for student success. All children can learn. High expectations and accountability for all. Educators should provide varied experience and instructional opportunities to meet student individual needs. And schools should provide safe and productive learning environments based on mutual respect, trust, and cooperation. I begin with, in a sense, some of the the biggest focus of this budget as we go through it all is obviously the kind of starting at 1,000 feet with the state picture. The state concerns obviously dictate a lot of our budget. We continue to work closely with all of our legislative groups, but the big focus on the budget this year will be the Alliance District grant. The current grant in the 16-17 year had a $250,000 reduction. We also saw a cut in our priority school district grant of $130,000, and the city lost $700,000 in transportation grant. We also have, as I indicated to the board a while ago, we still have an issue. Our magnet school grant was 6.5% decrease in that funding. So kind of is the unfortunate backdrop of the budget we entered. The current Alliance grant, $8.4 million for 17-18. That includes the reduction we just had. As the board knows, many initiatives inside this budget. This is a FTE-rich grant right now. We have our all-day kindergarten initiatives, our intervention support reading, our ELL supports, additional administrative training for teacher evaluation, our bilingual, our math supports. We have one full-time social worker in each elementary school because of this funding. Additional administrative support in school climate. We've got the assistant principal at Park Ave and Shelter now. Our middle school department chairs. Additional math support, instructional supplies for Common Core. This grant clearly is becoming almost, I call it almost it's a school district inside itself right now at $8.4 million. I mean, I think the last total is about 92 FTEs inside this grant as of right now.
92.
92. Yeah. 17-18 ECS right now, we're assuming flat funding inside our ECS grant. Last year, as you know, we got an $850,000 increase in the grant. Right now with the $250,000 cut, we're going in with that mindset and that frame. We do have to submit a draft to the state. We think about mid-April, that's when the grants were due last year. We still have the same criteria applies. 51% new programs, or at least started new, and we know some of these initiatives, not all day K now, I believe we're in our 4th or 5th year now, 5th year for all day K. But the goal is they'd be substantially new inside that grant. State continues to review these funds as quarterly. We have a quarterly meeting that comes down. Our state representative comes down and reviews our criteria and our quarterly progress.
Joe, if I could, if we could start right there.
Yeah.
Our 16-17 ES funding is 6.6?
Yeah.
So you're anticipating additional 1.8 from the state?
No. $8.4 million.
Right, but I thought we were currently at 6.6.
No, it was originally, the grants originally, yes, it was 7.7 was last year's number, then we had an increase. Where it was 8.65, give or take. So right now with the reduction, we're down to 8.4 and change. So I'm anticipating right now that we're going to keep the cut of 250. So in theory, we're going to have a decrease of 250 going into next year. And so in theory, flat funding because we had a mid-year cut. That's at least the backdrop as of right now. Indications are there's change in the ECS grant, but until they actually, the governor's budget I think comes out February 8th. Budget cost containment. We continue to create low incidence special education based programs across our district. Kelly's really been instrumental in getting many programs, our elementary schools, our middle school, and now we're actually working on a high school program. We continue to study the allocation of substitute teacher resources, the impact in district meetings on student instruction time. That looks at some of our PLC structure, some of the time teached out of the classrooms and demands for subs. We also need to review our transportation system in any ways we can try to find more efficiencies. And as we said at the finance meeting, we're busing about 9,800 students right now, in the morning and 9,800 in the afternoon. Total budget request, to kind of start off where we're going. Total budget request for this year is $5.9 million or 4.72%. That is an operational increase of $4.9 million and a enrollment growth, which you'll see coming, of $972,000. The key budget elements, enrollment growth. As we said in finance, and you'll see next week, the district is growing at all levels. Every week, the additional classrooms at Shelter Rotc, Park Avenue, the middle school level. I mean, if we didn't have the West Side Academy, as Sal and I were talking about today, I mean, the middle schools would be astronomical. You'd be looking at 1,400 students in some of those schools. The continued funding and the ECS formula. Increase in personnel insurance costs and addressing increased needs and expanding special education to all students across all grades. This is kind of a snapshot of the coming presentation of next week. This is our current, the Danbury line is obviously the mustard colored, and that is the state number. You can see where, you know, the two paths have crossed, and we really are on a high trajectory up and out. Right now, we're just a shade over 11,000. Where obviously the state average, the state growth is significantly decreasing. This is actually McLaughlin and McLaurin's presentation they're going to do next week. This is the current growth. Peter brought this study for the board 2 years ago on enrollment, where he thought we would be in 2024. We're already through, right now, 11,300 students. So we're already through Peter's numbers that we were supposed to hit in 2024. And that study was done, I believe, right at the time we did the high school study, which was maybe 2.5 years ago. High school growth, this is Peter's numbers. I could tell you it's we're going to lag behind those based on some of the data we're starting to see coming through already. Again, astronomical coming through the line. The kids are here. You don't necessarily need to study births when you're sitting right now in your elementary tier. Your elementary school student population right now per grade is on 925 kids. If you go back 5, 6, 7 years ago, those numbers were like 850, 825. So you're easily up 100 kids in each grade. District demographic, ELL numbers continue to stay high, 25%. I haven't looked lately, but we're probably running 1 and 2 in the state for our ELL numbers. Special education costs, we still see an increase there, but our identification rate is around our DIRG numbers. I think our DIRG's about, I haven't looked lately, we're about, you know, right around that 12.5 number for our DIRG. But again, a small increase in the special education numbers is a massive increase in cost, and those students at times are 2 to 3 times what a regular ed child would be. Free reduced lunch is kind of plateauing. That's interesting. I still think there's an under-identification happening there. We don't really any way to drill into those numbers any better because they are really fairly well classified in their nature. We're still at 51% on free and reduced. Overall budget for classified salaries, this kind of walks us through the whole entire budget starting at the 100s. That's our salary accounts. Full-time salaries budgeted $75 million, or an increase of $3.3 million, or 4.73%. That includes all contractual raises. We are making an anticipated retiree projection of 20 teachers at $35,000. We've been hovering right around that number. Last year's number was about $770 total. So that's a fairly decent, healthy projection for us to make. Obviously funding all our core programs through adjustments in state grants. We are projecting our enrollment growth. We do see additional teachers at Park Ave, King Street, and Shelter Rock for next year. Shelter Rock alone, I believe we've added 4 or 5 teachers in the past 2 years at least. Special education, we are seeing, we are going to create a self-contained program at DHS for some of our highest need students. This will prevent future outplacements. As Kelly and I were saying, those students at times be $100,000 plus in tuition. And we really feel we have the ability to provide these kids with just as good a services in an outplacement facility. Also at Pembroke, and an additional special education teacher at DHS. So 2 FTs at DHS, 1 at Pembroke. 4 FTs to high school, and you heard Mr. Donovan talking at the policy meeting with new graduation requirements and the new enrollment numbers. 4 FTs really is the launching pad for the high school. The numbers when we up to the line there for further demands with the new high school addition coming online. We do also have an additional preschool teacher, which actually is going to the budget for this section next couple weeks, but it is a new position for next year. So that's a 1.0 preschool teacher in special education.
So Joe, if I could ask, so we've got about, what, 800K in new teachers?
Correct.
All right, so the actual contractual salary is about 2.6 or 2.7?
Base salary is broken
about
out.
what? About 2.5% increase?
That includes the retiree projection. So if you look in your book, the very first line, the high level is $3.1 million is all your contractual obligations, your raises. Teacher raise is projected right around $2 million. That was the numbers we got when we did our projection when we did the teacher's contract. So your total all-in raises is about $3 million for your certified and non-certified staff. That also includes the teachers we hire.
Right.
In other words,
okay.
You've got the additional teachers that came in September for shelter and some of the schools we had to add staffing at. those get kind of picked up in those projections. But yeah, 3 million is your number. Employee benefits, as you said in finance, this has still been was a major problem years ago. We're in a fully insured plan. We continue our joint efforts with the city on our self-insured plan. Our health insurance renewal right now is at 6.5% or $1.5 million. Initial annual premium increases can usually be smaller to reflect the value of high deductible plan. Those are all the mandatory HSAs the board put in now 5 years ago. We do have increased co-share amounts in all bargaining units coming out of negotiations this year. Your teachers, your administrators contracts show increases as well as the non-certified contracts we just did. We are reducing some of the HSA cash contributions in the units, and we've also kind of staggered some of the payment structures the way it does to a sense, so all the cash doesn't go on in the first day. We still see some gains in claim history. We have seen an increase in some of our higher cost claims. A high cost claim would be like, for example, knee replacements. Catastrophic claims that are really major cases above $175,000, those hit our insurance plan. We see a lot of knee replacements, those like those $50,000 claims. So it's a large claim to us because it hits directly to us. Where if you have a very high claim like an infant birth or an early birth, those can be, those hit our insurance plan once they get past $175,000. We still see the trend of more generic drugs. We do still see the continued health and reduced ER visits. Our workers' compensation, every year this is continued. We see a lot of continued claim and a lot of high claim. With a $500,000 deductible on that plan, we join with the city on that. It's good we do save costs, but there is a large exposure to the board, so we do have a $75,000 increase in that budget line. Service and fees is budgeted $5.2 million, represents $122,000 increase, or 2.39%. The only increase in that account is our special education tutors and our occupational and physical therapists. Right now we have approximately 220 tutors servicing either one-on-one or two-on-one students, and that's a contractual increase. Those are unionized members for next year. It's about $100,000 to that group. Utilities, repairs, small increases inside those accounts, keeping those relatively flat. Transportation, big news inside transportation this year. $12.7 million for the 17-18 year, which represents an increase of $695,000 or 5.77%. We have a brand new contract this year with STA, which includes a 3.5% increase. But this contract also includes a complete replacement of our entire fleet. This new fleet will also be run completely with propane, which saves us both in fuel and CO2 emissions. Going forward, I think this will behoove the board for many years to come as far as the propane fleet. It is much more economical to run than our diesel fleet. Propane continues to be a much cleaner burning fuel tool as well. So in time, we're going to see additional cost savings. We haven't locked our propane fuel number, so right now I'm making a projection on that. So I'm hopeful we're going to see additional savings inside at least the fuel lines for these. We also have the additional buses we had to add this year. That was 3 we had to add to the fleet. Those are represented in this budget. Special education transportation, this is an increase in base costs. This is really an increase in actual additional students. We have costs that get, typically it's 2 to 3%. Those the transporters pass on to us every year. Same in tuition costs. We do see rise in tuition rates on 2 to 3% on average inside those accounts. Universal service or E-rate funds. Years ago, there was a grant the board got to offset our telephone costs. If you look on your cell phone, your home bills, you'll see universal service funds like a couple dollars. We can apply to the school and library fund to get additional reimbursement back, but they cut that avenue of funding. So now this is actually last year, it's another $28,000 increase to the board. Mandatory student increase for our VOAG. That is our agricultural program, which is mandated by the state up in Woodbury. That is Nottawa. Right now, there's 19 students in that program. It costs us $7,000 per student plus transportation. It's a mandated program by the board. It's a lottery system that our students are elected to participate in. Back in the day when I first got it, we had about 2 students in that program. I think it's a lot of our new initiatives here, an increase in choice between our magnet schools. I think they look for some choice at the high school level as well, so we're seeing more students going up there. Supply budgets, $4.5 million, or an increase of $14,812, or 0.32. Good news in these accounts, we really have seen 0 increases in our utility accounts. When you look across our utility and gas accounts, those accounts have been flat for the past 5 years, which is really reflected on both the board and the city. Our LED lighting initiatives, the new boilers, all the new mechanical equipment the city's been putting in has really controlled those costs in a major way. We continue.
Joe, did you have a request from myself?
Yes, I did.
You might want to just.
The board, Dr. Sal, through Mr. Maloney, received a request for funding for Head Start to reinstate the $250,000 for Head Start funding in the 17-18 budget. We did not include that as part of that. That request came in actually a few days ago as we were in the middle of building this. So we do bring that to the board at least as a piece of information going forward.
Going forward in what way?
Just as an information for you folks to say the request was made for funding. That's really. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Great job. Appreciate it.
It's like a board exercise.
Joe, I'm sorry. So really,
I don't know what they were talking about.
based on the numbers you just looked at, Joe, really, the only numbers that we've got to play with would be if retirees increase, and if our insurance claims decrease, so that 6.5 drops to 4.
Yeah. That's all that's in play.
That's really about the only thing that.
Your 6.5 is a pretty solid number. I mean, last year we moved about $300,000. I mean, it wasn't a heck of a lot. As I've always said, now you're negotiating against yourself and your own claims, so it's not, there's no more hoping that Cigna cuts their renewal by X. We are out to bid with some of our stop loss premiums on health. There's some savings there, but again, I don't see it as any major. It's not a $1 million drop that's going to fall on health. I don't see that. No, it's concerning because there's not, the contracts are the contracts, the raises are the raises. I mean, that's as solid as they come. I mean, credit to Ann, we barcode every person we had. I mean, they're all present and accounted for inside that thing, which is, I guess, good and bad in this.
What's our retention rate on insurance as far as, our employees?
Oh, participation?
Yeah, exactly.
Among the teachers, I think it's probably about 80%. In some of our teachers' plans that are free to them, it's much higher. It's closer to 100%.
Does it make sense to offer them a little bit of better incentive to, to waive their insurance through us?
We negotiated in the fully paid plans, we did negotiate clauses that actually said you need to certify that you don't have access to another Teamsters plan without any financial incentive other than what had existed for many years in one of those contracts. The teachers plan, we just put to rest that in the contract, so any changes in those terms would require us to renegotiate.
That includes also the cut in the HSA that was negotiated in the teacher's contract. We dropped their cash from the $2,250 down to $2,000. So that's reflected in that. Your renewal, if you didn't do those changes, you're probably about 8 or 9%. So that's your savings on that side, at least when we did do those projections.
Joe, for the boards, how much money do we have in that savings account?
Right now, $6.2 million is in our reserve fund.
Is that fully funded?
We have about another $900,000 to go to be fully funded. But I mean, to be in our 4th year for a self-insured plan, that's pretty remarkable to be there. Of course, the first year we really caught an amazing year. I think we put away about over $2 million that year or something crazy. So, no, this will not be an easy year. Not to be our bar, it's never been easy.
Would that be, would the incentive program to get people off of the thing, would that be something to look at going forward after the contracts are up? Because where I work, they used to have that. They gave a nominal amount of money if you went on your spouse's plan or whatever.
It could be. What the advice of our consultants the conversation we've always had with them is that oftentimes that's throwing good money after bad because it's not enough of an incentive, and you're sort of paying the people that already are on another plan.
Right.
So we have had a consultant look at that when we cost out the plan cost in negotiation.
I think some of that curve has changed though, because now a lot of plans, you know, de-incentivize you to split your program, and so maybe, you know, I don't know. It seemed like when I had it, it was a rather small amount of money, but there was a big cost savings on the other side, you know, for whoever wasn't paying for the benefit.
I think it's certainly always worth looking at it. The other thing too is as the nature of some of these plans change and they have health incentives, this kind of carrot stick idea, we may see more people come in or we may see more people go. It's hard to predict.
Yeah.
All right. So information.
I just put in a legislative update. The Connecticut Association for Urban Superintendents also has a lobbyist, so we're coming at it from that end, so I included that in here for you. We'll be meeting with the leadership group from the legislative leadership group. We have a date with them that we'll be doing that. We also have a meeting with, we have the board and the town split, a lobbyist, and we have a new lobbyist. His name is
Ryan.
He was an ex-mayor from Torrington. He met with us. We had a meeting, went through our agenda and our priorities. We have a group meeting, I think it's next Monday, up to the state, to talk about our agenda. I included in here for you the information that we'll be sharing. And also there's a legislative session timeline. So as we think about going up and testifying, we could pay attention to that. If you get to the last page, we put together our basic objectives. And if you look at the last thing there, it says objective 4, but 1 is to fully fund the Alliance, to fully fund the expansion of Danbury High School. Well, that's already been done, that'll obviously be taken off. But to fully fund the excess cost of special ed, that's still ambivalent. There's a possibility of a new funding system in the state of Connecticut that will fund special education in a different way. But that right now is just a thought and a study. I rather suspect they may not adopt it, although the governor is very interested in it. But objective 4, which will be 3, is we are losing enrollment at the magnet school AIS. IS was put together out of Chef, so it's not part of the court case. So that's a voluntary system for attending. We have the surrounding towns are losing enrollment, and particularly Newtown. I think they had 300, I was talking to 300 kids who have graduated and 150 or 200 that in the kindergarten entrance. So they've reduced their numbers substantially. This year, with the cut, with the new operating budget, reflects $250,000.
$220,000.
$220,000 that we would have gotten. Now we still get what's
right around $2 million,
$2 million that we do get to help defray the general cost, but that is hurting us. If we drop before the 60-40, what that simply means is that we can't have more than 60% of our kids there. If you do, you're put on a warning. If it continues, you can lose your funding even $2 million. So that would be a real tragedy for us. So what I'm asking for is that if that happens, right now, what is the split? Have you looked at the research?
About 62%, 63% Danbury.
So we've got to kind of sunset and can't take any of our kids in. So we might have less youngsters at that school, but we have to stay within that formula to make it work. But if that should happen, we'd like to see them just sunset it and give us 3 years to come up with a plan, which will increase advertising and do a number of other things. But that's what number 4 is. So we'll take number 2 out. I don't know if that's about. And then the rest of the stuff, if you take your time to look at the cause, all the cities are experiencing these challenges. But the good news is the governor is speaking about funding the cities at a different rate, differentiating the money. The big question is, as you know, where the resource is going to come. And the fight can be between the urbans and the suburbans in terms of redistribution of resources. Never an easy fight to take on. So we don't know what's going to happen. But the good news is the governor is moving ahead with the Alliance money in the budget for ECS. That has not been removed. That's what I'm told from the commission, but we won't know until he puts it forward, but that's his intent. What else? So that's a legislative update. We did increase, as we told you, the magnet school tuition. We told them at an advisory group meeting, so that's been increased. What are they paying out next year?
They pay right now $1,784, we're going to $1,900.
It was never meant to be to compensate the amount of money that they that we recoup, because for every student there we get $7,100, and we get $3,000 for all of our kids there, so we get quite a bit. But it does help defray the cost, obviously. Did I leave anything out in information? Bill, anybody you want to speak to? It's a good time to do it.
Just budget process with the board, 2 seconds. I mean, as you know, by city charter, the board has to vote on the budget before the 15th of February, as for the March desk. So obviously the next board meeting will come for full approval. We're going to try to get a finance meeting, I think, probably before that as well. Slot that somewhere in there. We typically kind of done one final finance meeting and move the budget over to the board. So that'll be our process for the budget moving ahead.
And I mean, if I didn't say this, we did meet with the mayor and David, and our assumptions are to not go through any cutting mechanism right now, because the preponderance of the cuts will come if we don't get the lines made. Not knowing what that is, there's no sense of going through there and make redistributions of those resources. We have no idea, so we've agreed to make the assumption that it's going to be there at least at the same level moving forward. Right?
Dr. Sarah, what was the news release for the CJEF case that the governor issued? It was like around the first of the year.
Well, it's just that he was going to try to renegotiate, try to come to some sort of change in the formula, he'd be looking at it.
All he's been saying is that...
Didn't he attempt to overrule the appellate court? I don't know.
No, what he did do, I'm sorry, he appealed the decision.
Right.
That's what they did. We won the court case in terms of it's an inequitable system, but the judge said that the funding from the state of Connecticut is appropriate. His problem is the method that it's funded in, which he feels unconstitutional. So, and then he had some other things to say. The state is appealing all of that.
Right.
It's on appeal.
That's what.
But what he is saying is that no matter what happens there, he views the cities or the urbans being funded inappropriately and needs to make some adjustments. He's already made that statement. So that's. No, I'm sorry. He, the governor. The judge has been quiet. I mean, he made many statements about special education, about many other things that were just outside the realm of what we had asked for the judicial group for him to look at, and that's what they're appealing, all of that, and that could take years. We have no idea. So the governor wants to move through with this. So that's what.
Okay.
All right. So, board chairperson report. The only thing I have is I'd like to now take a look at this workshop, if we could all do it on this next week at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I want to get a calendar
first.
Just sure.
Well, there's two, it looks like there's three actually.
Looks like 3.
So.
Wednesday the 1st.
Wednesday the 1st, 6 o'clock. Let's concentrate on that one first.
That would be the one on enrollment.
On enrollment,
right?
What about the other one? Can we do those now too?
Sure.
I think the next one, the next open Wednesday you have is on the 8th.
Can we do one before the meeting?
Sure, if you would like to do that.
Right.
As long as it's not too heavy.
What's that?
Oh, we have 2 tonight.
Right, so that's why we'll have one before instead of 2.
Right,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's open to everybody. I'm good either way. Yeah, let's do the dental at 6.
Yeah, do that.
Okay, then February 8th, that's an open Wednesday?
No. We just said.
We have the meeting at 7.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do the dental at
Dental at
6.
6, okay. That works.
February 8th. And then
2-1 for enrollment.
2-1 for enrollment, 6.
2 weeks for dental.
I mean, if we can do it before the meeting, so we don't have to come on another Wednesday. that'd be
You want to
great.
do the charter school before the next meeting?
Well, before the meeting, after the.
Yes, the regular board meeting.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, prefer, if it's okay with everybody, I prefer to do it before the regular meeting, so we don't, yeah.
You wanted it at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, if we need another one, we need another one, you know, it depends.
you know,
I don't know. The charter school stuff is we're starting to understand the funding, and that's gonna be crucial in this thing, as I told you. So I don't think we need more than an hour. If it looks as though we're going forward, you're gonna need more time to deal with it.
so let's recap for people who don't understand, okay?
Yes.
Next Wednesday, 6 o'clock, we're looking to do the enrollment workshop.
And February 1st.
February 1st. February 8th, before our regular 7 o'clock meeting, we're looking to do the dental workshop. I prefer not to come back another Wednesday that we don't have a meeting, if that's okay with everybody else. So the next scheduled meeting I'd like to do before that at 6 o'clock, the charter school one.
February
22nd. Any questions? No, we got it, we understand it? Okay. Thank you.
So that the 8th and 22nd are both at 6 o'clock, those meetings? Yes.
Yeah. Don't ask any more questions.
What about first?
First 6, yeah. Now, at some point, if we feel that we need more time on it, then we'll spend some more time on it. But I'm pretty sure we can get it done in an hour. Right? Okay.
Dental won't take long, but.
They're not gonna do cleanings or anything like this.
No.
No, we're gonna drill.
I mean, you know.
Yes.
We're gonna drill.
All right, no executive session, so I need a motion to adjourn for public session. Mr. Michael Curtis. Okay. Oh, I skipped that part.
Oh, yes, they
Oh, man.
Reporter.
Just real quick, I just want to let everyone know, Mary Gregory, who has been serving as Executive Director of Danbury Schools and Business Collaborative, DSABC, for over 10 years, and I think it's actually her 11th year, has submitted her resignation, and she is going elsewhere after being here for over 10 years. I just want to thank her for her service to DSABC. It's been great to be on that board for the past 3 years and the past several months as chair of the board of directors. So just to let the board know, our board know, it is the DSABC board which actually hires the new executive director, and we are in the beginning stages of that process. So as that continues to see updates, I will inform our board on that. So
Thank you.
back at the end of February, so February 28th.
Yes, sir.
One thing, participating, so I'd like to congratulate you on your new position. And two, last year we had a workshop that was given by an outside consultant, basically called a workshop or retreat. Through that, we had a nice roundtable discussion. And I think the feeling was, amongst us, was that if we could have something like this during the course of the year, it might be advantageous for a couple of reasons. One, to pull us together so that we can share our ideas, from a different point of view relative to just coming to meetings, and it may lead to some sort of productive type of, the type of things that we wanted to do and bring us closer together, sharing ideas. So I just throw that out as something for you to consider. You may Tara here to see what you come up with.
And it's just started, let's stay tuned. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm open to it if everybody else.
We need to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it ahead of time.
Of course, we said, although it was a meeting or you could do it as a workshop, I think that was some of the issues before.
Or Ted Carroll.
Right, but if we just do it amongst ourselves, I don't think we need an outside advisor.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, we need to talk around. Because he did leave some discussion things that one could facilitate pursuit. Right.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about this. Right, could be, yeah, we could talk about a format before we do it.
We can discuss board races,
Okay, anything else from everybody?
Yeah.
No? Anything else? No? Motion to adjourn public session? Anyone?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Second. Okay, okay, all in favor?
Aye.